The first 15 minutes or so of this time together, this gathering together, a sense of welcoming, a sense of settling. Recognizing, appreciating this time and space. The past, the regrets, the wonderful memories, here in the present, the future, the worries, the hopes, the fears. Unknown here in the present. This gift of life, offered, attention, this received experience. As it is, reconnecting with the well-wishing, that life has for itself. The wish to suffer less. The knowing of the conditions and the limitations here and now. Attention collected. in this experience. And the breath received and released. The gift of life received with the gift of attention, released without expectation, hope or fear. And quality of attention known. Permission given for stillness, allowing this gathering, this appreciation of this gathering, attention, whole of the rhythm of the breath, the whole of the body breathing. And knowing the receiving and the release. This breath. this moment, this life. This knowing, this welcoming, this release. And this ending. Which is this beginning. So welcome. The intentions and the experience of going out is the creation of a creation of this world. The assumption that we often make is that things are coming to us, and the world is actually created by this going out, and the habits and the compulsions and the way that it, even in the simplest ways, that we push our attention out. Unknowing why or how or what is happening. The Buddha's teaching was summarized as, when the causes and conditions for something are there, then the thing will be there. And when the causes and the conditions for something is not there, then the thing will not be there. The arising of this arises. The ceasing of this ceases. And with the arising of that, when it's the cause is the bit that gives us time. in space, the conditions in which the causes find themselves. And the way that life really works is to seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's the basic mechanism. And it's a thing, the ennobled life, the life worth living, the life that's worthy, the life that has value, is about wisdom and understanding and practicing and realizing. And because the human condition is the bit that we're, these are the conditions that are the given in this time and space. And then the causes that are generated in this time and space. And are those causes driven by things that are compelling? And then how that works as we jump from this thing to the next. And try to. This is the causes that we create more stress for ourselves and others, is this jumping from one thing to the next. Liking this, wanting this, wanting to get on to the next thing, wanting to get rid of that thing, wanting to get into a situation or get out of a situation, wanting to get close to something or wanting to get away from something, seeking the senses, seeking something to titillate, to enjoy. And then we can go through a whole set of judging this, and then not wanting this, and then we're not wanting the bit that. So our complications can get multiplied. And the basic bodily thing, the body itself has its own agenda of compulsions, as it has to do things in order to keep surviving, and its instinct is to survive. it's the basic instinct that keeps the blood pumping through, the food being digested, the rhythm of in-breath and release. And there's nothing, it's not supposed to be any other way. It's not supposed to be any other way. And where there is the space or the crack or the way out, is in what we can do to train the causes. So there's a space and a container that can allow less stress in the present and in the future. So the relationship to this cause of more stress that allows life to be noble and worthwhile is the abandoning of this compulsion. And, the abandoning of it is in terms of abandoning of taking it personally, for one thing, the bits that are just part of how it works, abandoning the compulsion for that. And that taking personally, feeling that it's my body that needs to breathe. It's just the body needs to breathe. The body has its rhythms. Giving it back. Giving back the hope and the fear that it could be different, because it's got its own agenda. And the giving up of the compulsion for it, the sending out of this impulse to gain and control. For me, and they have the way to substitute is to train the impulses for non-harming, non-exploiting, and non-indulging. These are the impulses that we can work with, and that goes, the usual response to this experience that we have is to try to get rid of it in some way. I don't like this one. I want the next one. Somehow, I don't like what this present moment is, and I want the next one, so I'll try and shift this one, get rid of it. That's it's not ultimately profitable. It's not completely ignoble, but it's not ultimately profitable. It's the usual response. And I think for maybe many of the Westerners who come to Buddhism, it's quite a common impulse, is that I don't like what I'm experiencing. I want to get rid of it and get a better one. And so there's nothing wrong with that either, but you don't need to take that personally. It's just the way that it works out. And the other response is how can I get more out of it? And how can I enjoy it more? How can I keep hold of it? How can I indulge it more? Atta Kilamatani Yogo, and then Kamasukali Kani Yogo. And the one of indulgence is, of course, just not very noble and not very, ultimately not profitable, and quite, that's the way of the animals. And so the impulses, or the sama sankappa, is to intentionally, or to resolve to not harm, not exploit, and not indulge. And that goes against those two unprofitable and the ways that don't work of responding. And it requires all sorts of efforts and attention and care. Because tanha, I translate as compulsion. Thirst. And, the kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. Those are the three aspects of it, and the Samasankappa goes against all of those. It's a training against it. And, it can lead to the a proper abandoning of it. And it's not that, it's when the root word is chanda, rooted in desire, friend, are all things. And this is the root. But chanda itself is not necessarily compulsive. Because chanda is also about aspiration. And aspiration comes from a sense of enough. There's enough here to aspire and to give, to offer. And the sense of this is something that can be done. And it's not a compulsive impulse. It's a giving up of my way and having to have things the way that I want them. And for that, the attention needs to be directed inwards, actually. So that there's the knowing is of what is going out, what is being created, what is being, how this impulse is no. Because what we've got is, of course, the whole business of birth, old age, sickness, death, being associated with what we don't like, separated from what we like. The whole business of taking this experience that we take so personally, the separation, the persistence of this, the form, the impulse to go towards or away from things, this basic Vedana that when it's held to, when there's upatana, and there's the attachment to it, or the that which is the fuel for it. And all the perceptions that go on and on and on at every level, from the very basic, this strange mirage that we believe has some substance, and it's a mirage. It's not that there's a complete falseness to it, but it's a mirage. And it's formed of something that is just formed of something else and formed of something else and born of a habit and a pattern and a endless determining complication of sankhara that we take so personally. My idea, my habit, and the I and the mine, and we take it because it's for me, therefore it's mine, and therefore there must be some I in this. And this basic sense of separation that we feel, that is vijnana, which is this extraordinary joining and separation that we feel, because we feel that there's that over there and there's this here, and this which joins us also separates us. And this is what makes this present. And this is for me. And it's my responsibility to do something about. And so there must be something here that is definitely mine. And it must be in some of this business that I experience, this strange sense of solidity that, is obviously shifting and out of control because it has its own agenda. This weird experience of going towards or away, or just not being sure about what's happening. This weird way that that this thing here has the habit of labeling and in its different forms, and it gets more complicated as liking and disliking and the whole habit around that because of the habits. because of the patterns, because of what the determining things. And this thing that allows this to be present for us. A strange trick. And this is happening here, and then in that time and space, wherever that one is, it's happening over there, and yeah. And it's all interconnected, which is great. Yes, it's all interconnected. But it means there's also all this different stresses and strains. If it wasn't interconnected, there wouldn't be any stresses and strains, because what you may want me is different from what I may want. How I feel is different how you feel. What I perceive is not the same as what you perceive. And this going out and trying to somehow manipulate it and then feeling compelled to do it causes stress. Because it's never going to be satisfactory. That's not the way that the sense of ease is. The sense of uncomplicating, unentangling, the sense of lack of neediness. There's no need to respond, actually. When there's a need to respond or the need to go out, that is a cause of stress for myself and for others. It's the nature of it. And the impulse is to go out. I have to do something about that. And then I notice how that feels in me. And then it's not that I shouldn't have that. I have to do something about the fact that I have to do something is another complication. It's not that. It's to shift this and make conscious the intention not to harm, not to exploit, and not to indulge. Based on the assumption that in the doing of good and wholesome things, there is good and wholesome results. Based on the assumption that there are things that we don't understand. Based on the assumption that this strange thing that I feel is me has come from somewhere. And that there is a way out. This is samadhi. The samadhi that liberates is the actual understanding of this is stressful. This is not ever going to satisfy me. It's never going to satisfy anybody. This is just how it is. There is this identification. It's like this. I don't have to get rid of it, because that's another complication. Understanding dukkha is the noble way to relate to it. Abandoning the cause and realizing the end. Where does it end? Where is there no stress? Making that something that's known, real. Because what one can do is practice. Practicing the path. Practicing, repeating the speech, the actions, the livelihood, the effort, not to persist, not to pick up habits, unwholesome actions, unwholesome speech, unwholesome thought, not to continue with those that are already unwholesome, to cultivate and preserve those wholesome habits and pick up new ones. To practice the knowing of this body in the body, as it is. The impulses of this life of moving towards or away, as they are. The whole way that the heart is as it is, through all its aspects. And all aspects of this is the how phenomena are. This is how the Dhamma is. This is how the whole thing works. And giving continuity to this persistent, calm, collected continuity. Free. This is the offering the Lord Buddha gave those that have realized, have continued to support, and what humans can do. Because humans, on the whole, they're okay. You know, on the whole, they're okay. They do. On the whole, society is good enough. And when it's not good enough, that's when the news comes. Because that's what's strange. For the most part, that's what we tend to notice. And that's the bit that is upsetting. Because there's something that says, well, actually humans, they're designed to be okay. They're not working right. When the whole business goes wrong, it's because there's the noticing. That's not what the humans are designed to do. On the whole, most of the time, most people, unconsciously and not really knowing, are good enough. And I certainly wish that they all are completely enlightened, because I'm completely selfish. And I'd really wish that all other beings would be completely enlightened, because it would make my life much easier. That's my wish. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. This is and we do the best we can. And if this is any help, fine. And if it isn't, please ask some questions and I'll try and answer them in the chat. And we'll see how this gets on. Thank you for your attention. So are there any questions? Okay, there is a question. Sila Nusati. It's remembering the fact that you have kept the Sila. At its very basic level, it's to remember the fact that today you haven't bombed any churches. It's, that remembering the fact that you've kept the Sila, remembering the fact that you're able to keep the basic Sila, remember the fact that you're able to keep the 8 precepts at the times. It's remembering your Sila, remembering that you've stayed within the boundaries that keep you from harming others. And in not harming others, you're also aiding yourself. So remembering that. How do you keep the path, sadhana and aspiration going? Maybe you don't. Maybe just patience keeps you going. I don't know. It's different for different people. Dream karma is not powerful enough to do very much. It's not significant. When Ajahn has walked the path for a long time, how do you keep your sadhana aspiration going? I don't know. Does it take both a doer and a receiver for karma to be made? Not particularly. You can make karma by body, speech, or mind. So if there's somebody there or not, then it doesn't really matter. But the karma you make in a dream is not significant. When we wish all animals be free from suffering without actual actions, does this wish? No, not particularly. It's a useful thing to do. Setting an intention. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering is a nice thing to say. If you don't say it, then it's okay also, but it's still actually doing something obviously helps. My body, speech or mind, giving people the talk. So nature, what is the pace of nature, more specifically on the forest tradition? Nature is interesting, or the forest is interesting. One of the things that I really like about the forest is, and nature itself actually, the power of the causes and conditions that have no, karma is the human business, but there's also things like, utu niyama and bija niyama, and utu niyama is just like the physical things, and bija niyama is like the genetic things, and the way that nature, the natural world works is interesting. In the forest tradition, it's usually in a woodland. So it's called the forest tradition because it's away from people. Actually, technically, a forest dwelling is a kilometer from any other dwelling. So a forest monastery technically has to be a kilometer away from any other dwelling. In the Vinaya, that's the way that it's. I don't think they used a kilometer, but that's about the shape of it. And one of the things that I've noticed, well, I think we all notice in the forest, is that in itself, there's a basic benevolence around the forest. Yes, one can be frightened of it, but in itself, it doesn't take you personally. It's just, and in one respect, it doesn't really care. It's a sort of benign indifference. And when I walk into a forest, there's a sense of for me, a benign indifference. The things that might damage me are more the trees. The trees itself, they're benignly indifferent, but the insects, the animals, and that, they have their own business that they're going for. And in themselves, if they need to eat you, they'll try and eat you. If the mosquitoes need the blood for their, in order to reproduce, they will. But they don't really, it's not personal what they do. They're not singling you out. It's just, this is how nature is. And that's the great thing about it. And the intention that, a forest monk can bring to this is a sense of, how can I bless this nature? How can I bless this so that it fulfills its best potential? Because the forest, if you're in a forest, then, if you're in a huge forest, then there's things that you can do. Certainly not damage it, not pollute it. But if you're responsible for it, if it's part of your monastery, then working out ways to take care of the ecosystem so that it actually is protected and fulfills its best potential is something that we can do. And that takes, like anything, it takes wisdom. And one might get it wrong, so one needs to learn about it. But certainly for, the forest is a place that can nurture the sense of the possibility of benevolent indifference. I'll give you what you need, but I don't really care whether you're there or not. If the forest is big enough, the world at one level doesn't really care about humans at all. Volcanoes can explode, tsunamis can happen, the weather will change according to its own reactions and responses to. And yes, humans can affect that because that's what humans can do. They can cause effects. But at the other level, the weather and the planet does not care. It does not care whether humans are here or not. It will do what it needs to do. And if it happens that humans destroy all life on the planet will still keep spinning. It existed before human life, and it will continue to spin after. But humans can respond by figuring out, how can we bless this? And that's something that humans can do. And on the whole, that's actually what humans wish to do. Humans, when they work well, they generate blessings for themselves and for other humans. It's when they get a bit wonky, go a bit, their wiring gets, or something happens that they actually are not, they're not working as the humans are actually designed best to work. When humans work the best, they generate blessings. And, an association and a closest to nature can appreciate that, I feel, in the forest. If we can do something that can encourage that, that's the best we can do. So, when we this land here on Sumedharama, the intention was to bless it and to allow what was here before to have a tiny space. This is just a little space for it to try and be an example. So that's partly what we're about. As I've said, this monastery I feel is a place for generating generosity, because it it gives and it requires generosity. Virtue, because the intention is to practice virtue and encourage virtue in others. And wisdom, to generate wisdom through encouraging wisdom within the people who live here, and for those who also are in touch with this, wisdom being the capacity to generate causes and conditions and space and structures whereby beings suffer less now and in the future. And that's what the Buddha offered. And that's what I'm incredibly grateful for. All the opportunities and all that's been offered to me personally and to humanity as a whole. The Buddha has offered something that allows beings to suffer less now and in the future. Thank you.